The big, beautiful bill has passed, you guys. We're going to break down the whole big, beautiful bill right now so you can actually know how it affects you, because oftentimes these bills and politics, you don't really know how it affects you. It's kind of nebulous. This bill directly affects your life, and we're going to break all of it down. So as always, guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel so more great patriots like yourself will see it. So the bill barely squeezed through. It was at 215 votes to 214 votes. So like literally as close as you can possibly get it. Thomas Massie and Warren Davidson voted no along with all the other Democrats. And Andy Harris, who is of course the head of the Freedom Caucus, voted present. And then you had David Schweikert, who just missed the vote completely because he was late. And then you had Andrew Garbarino, I've never heard of him, from New York, who literally fell asleep. And so he missed the vote as well. And that brings us into acknowledging Mike Johnson, who put this together. Whether you like him or hate him, he has an incredibly difficult job of getting 215 people to actually agree on something. Getting people to agree on something is incredibly hard. And then, of course, also working with idiots who just are late to the bill and fall asleep only makes it harder. So easily, I think he has the hardest job in government. Again, whether you like him or hate him, that's just the reality. With all of that said, the bill passed and it's going to make its way through the Senate. It's probably going to be very close. Already, senators have kind of said they're not going to vote for it, or they're going to obviously make some changes, and then it's going to have to go back to the House. So this is not set in stone, but it seems likely it could be passed. So with that, let's get right into the bill, what it's going to do, and then I'm going to give my opinion on if I think it's a good bill or not. We're going to start with taxes, and I'm going to go through there. So there's kind of taxes. That's the big part of the bill. They also touch on healthcare, defense, and education, all of which are very important. So number one, obviously the biggest thing with this tax bill is it continues Trump's tax cuts from 2017. And one of the biggest things is now they are permanent. So when he passed them in 2017, it was always baked into it that they were going to expire this year. And now these tax cuts are permanent. They're never going to change unless Congress passes another vote, but it's not going to like automatically expire like it was going to before. The corporate rate is going to stay 15% lower. Your standard deduction is going to stay double of what it was before 2017. The child tax credit is still going to be double. Your income tax is going to be low. All of that's going to be there. It's fantastic. It's not going to change. Another big tax-related thing is that tips and overtime won't be taxed for lower income earners, which is a very, very big change. A lot of people are very happy about this. A lot of people are not happy about this. Again, we'll get to that later. SALT was raised significantly from a $10,000 limit to $30,000 limit. And this was one of the biggest controversies of the bill, like one of the biggest by far. SALT, for those of you who don't know, is basically a tax deduction that you can put on your federal taxes based on how much you paid in state income tax. So in other words, if California taxes you like $20,000 because they have an insane state tax there, you can then pay you have $20,000 less of taxable income on your federal return. Before the limit for that was $10,000, now it's $30,000. The reason why this was so controversial is that this disproportionately helps states that have heavy income taxes like California, for example. So in Florida, for instance, they have no income tax. So now, because they can't take that deduction, they have to pay more federal taxes than Californians. However, Floridians are still getting taxed in other ways. It's not like there's no taxes in Florida. And obviously Florida runs their state a lot better than California, but Floridians are now having to pay more taxes federally than Californians. And so obviously those states like Tennessee, Nevada, and Florida were fighting to not have that. Ultimately, it seems that they were not successful in that. The big, beautiful bill also created a $1,000 MAGA savings account. That's literally what it's called, for all kids. All kids are going, basically their parents are going to get $1,000 to invest in their kids' like college fund, for instance. So those are the kind of the big tax changes. Now we get to the healthcare. And again, I'm going to give all my take at the end. I just want to lay this out for you so you know exactly what it's going to do and how it's going to affect you. The big healthcare changes are this. Medicaid was restricted to people who work less than 80 hours a week. So previously people got Medicaid basically if they just didn't work at all. You didn't really have to work in order to have Medicaid. In this bill, they're saying you at least have to work a part-time job every week to get Medicaid, unless obviously you're disabled. That's kind of a different category altogether. Democrats obviously freaking out about this one. This is massive. You've probably seen it on the news, people talking about how Republicans are cutting Medicaid. That's the big cut that they made. The bill also made SNAP more restrictive to lower income households, meaning you have to make less money in order to qualify for SNAP, which of course is food stamps, for instance. It also ends covering gender affirming care with government subsidized healthcare. I'll just give my opinion now. That's fantastic. I don't know how that was ever in there in the first place. So that's healthcare. Now for defense, pretty simple. The bill allocates $150 billion more for defense and $70 billion more for the border. For education, the bill makes Pell Grants more accessible for trades. Before, Pell Grants were a little bit more just for college. Now it's available to trade students. It puts taxes on university endowments as well. And it basically ends government subsidized student loans. That's the big change for education. So those are the basics of the bills. There's a couple other things here or there, but those are the things that really directly affect you and I. Economists estimate that it's going to cost the US $4 trillion. We're going to go $4 trillion more into the red because of this bill. And this is the controversy. A lot of us have been seeing it online. There's a big debate right now. Are we just spending ourselves into oblivion? And it's honestly a difficult question. I don't think it's quite as simple as a lot of people are making it out to be, because on one hand, you have Donald Trump and Mike Johnson who are trying to protect the border and reduce taxes, which is obviously the goal of this bill if you look at it. But then on the other hand, you have people like Thomas Massie saying enough is enough. We cannot do this anymore. We cannot continue on this inflationary spiral. The dollar is weakening. Our debt is increasing. We can't do this. And here are my thoughts on all of this. I am not fully convinced that this is going to cost $4 trillion. The reason why I say that is because it's very hard to measure the increase in GDP or production from reducing the business taxes. That's the biggest reduction. We've already had this since 2017. But essentially the corporate rate used to be, the top rate was 37%, I believe, and now it's a flat rate of 22%. That is a massive decrease. And obviously, when you're taxed less as a business, you can then hire more people, you can have more R&D, all of those things that make GDP go up. And I think it's very difficult to measure how much that will be. I have a feeling that $4 trillion number will be a bit smaller. I also think that the added revenue will be greater than they're anticipating. However, that's just kind of theory. With that said, I'm not a fan of everything in the bill at all. And I think some of it is way out of control. And this is where I lean a little bit towards Thomas Massie on this, even though I still acknowledge that Mike Johnson and Donald Trump have an incredibly difficult job, because again, you have to get 215 people to agree on something. It's just almost impossible. Somehow they were able to do it, even though 2 people decided just to not show up or fall asleep. But talking about the things that I don't like about the bill very much, I'm not a fan of raising salt. But you might have guessed, I think most of the hardline conservatives are not a fan of it. It hurts conservative states that don't have income tax. The conservative states who are more responsible are being hurt for this. I think it's one of the biggest contributors to that $4 trillion number is raising the salt. I also, this might be controversial, you can tell me what you think in the comments, I really do not like ending taxes on tips and overtime. And the reason why is because it seems very arbitrary to me. Like, they just chose 2 things not to tax. There's a lot of people who they're not working in something that has taxes, or they don't go into overtime. It doesn't really help them. Again, like, you got to give me a reason. It's not taxable. I just don't really see the reason for that. One of the things they wanted in the bill that didn't make it into it was no tax on Social Security for seniors, for instance. And that seems much more important to me. Like, that doesn't seem arbitrary at all. That seems like it was already your money to begin with. You already got taxed to take Social Security out. So in my opinion, that would have made a lot more sense to be in there than no tax on tips or overtime. But in any case, the other things I don't like really is I don't like the increase in Pell Grants. I think Pell Grants are kind of BS and they're incredibly inflationary. Finally, obviously the $1,000 per kid, very costly. If we're just purely, we're talking about trying to get our debt under control, giving $1,000 to every single American, not a great idea. I mean, case number 1 was the COVID relief checks. That is what caused inflation at the end of the day. That was one of the biggest things. I think we're doing the same thing in this. I think it's a bad idea. I think it is not really going to encourage people to have kids. I just don't think $1,000 is going to make the difference. It's cool, I guess, but I see the $1,000 savings account more as a bandage that is expensive and not really a solution. So that's that. Things I love about the bill that are really, really good. The reduction in Medicaid is fantastic. I mean, I hate Medicaid in general, but why anyone deserves to live off the dime of the taxpayer for their healthcare for not even working 20 hours a week is beyond me. That's crazy. And again, those are for able-bodied people. I'm not talking about disabled people. That's a totally different argument. Totally different argument. I think I'm very compassionate towards disabled people. If you're not working 20 hours a week and you want to live off of everybody else, I don't have a lot of compassion for you. I'm sorry. You got to work 20 hours a week. Really, you should work 40 hours a week, if we're being honest. The reduction in SNAP is fantastic. Why people should be able to buy junk food at the grocery store with taxpayer money? Stupid. I love the increase in spending for our border. I think all Americans do. I think it's fantastic. That's kind of the summary of the bill. That's what I like. That's my general take on the bill. You guys, I want to hear from you. I'll interact with you in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you think about it and what your favorite part of the bill is and your least favorite part of the bill is. As many of you know, I've got a brand new baby right now, so I get zero sleep, but the gym is still a priority for me. And fortunately, I have Energy Rocks, the partner of this show that gets me the energy I need. Energy Rocks replaces that heavy, sugary pre-workout drink with a light supplement you can fit right in your pocket, pull out and eat whenever you need that boost. It's modeled after Pop Rocks. Energy Rocks was created by a competitive athlete for athletes and anyone who needs a caffeine boost to enjoy without the messy mixes and the caffeine crashes. It's only 20 calories, only 4 grams of sugar. Incredibly healthy. You get all of the energy that you need. It's basically the same amount of energy that you would get from 1 cup of coffee. Fantastic product. I love it. I've got it in my pantry right now. Right now, they're giving you guys, my audience, a very generous offer of 20% off everything. Just use the code JoshCarr, 20 off at checkout. That link and the code are in the description below. Trans activists took over Yosemite this week and hung a trans flag on El Capitan. It's disgusting. Here's a video of their leader talking about why they did it.
Some carry hate. We carry the largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park and unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point that trans is natural. The Trump administration and transphobes would love to have you believe that being trans is unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth. So call it a protest, call it a celebration. We are bringing elevation to liberation. They try to erase us from government websites and education systems and libraries. So we raise this flag higher than ever before so every trans person knows that they have people that love them in their corner. The people united will never be defeated.
So basically, they don't give a crap about the environment. Everything they said about the environment, it's a lie. And this one, it hits a little close to home for me. I love Yosemite, and anyone who's been there loves it. It's amazing. I've spent a lot of time there in my life, and I think seeing this honestly breaks my heart because most people would agree with me in saying that Yosemite is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It is a gem for the United States. It makes California barely worth it to visit. According to NBC, they came and did this in response to Trump removing trans ideology from government websites. Credit where credit is due, the National Park Service actually responded really quickly against it, which surprised me. This is according to NBC as well. They say a spokesperson for Yosemite National Park said in an emailed statement Wednesday that park officials are aware of the unauthorized display and the flag was removed as soon as possible. The National Park Service is conducting an inquiry into the facts and circumstances around this event. We take the protection of our national park seriously and will not tolerate behavior that undermines their integrity. So that's very good. Very, very good. Overall, I think this shows the left really accurately, actually. And I think most people see this and obviously think it's loony. Even the Californians, I really think they think this is loony. They say that they care about things like the environment all the time. Obviously, a top Democrat issue. They say that they don't want to cram ideology down your kids. They just want to live their lives. And then they do this. They don't care about anyone but themselves, and I think this is just another example of that. The left is a cult, guys. I talk all about it in my newly released book, A New Cult. Go check it out right now. I talk about some crazy, crazy stories. I know you'll have a great time reading it. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel so other great patriots like yourself will see it. And watch the live show every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can watch another video right here.